everyone, so I've been playing Honkai Star Rail for several months and I really enjoyed my time with it. However, I want to talk about the game because there are things that I don't like. I won't go over the story because I think if you're interested you should play the game. However, I will say that I think the story is really good. Aside from shitty companion missions, because I'll be honest, the companion missions really do fall off after you played the first few in the game. And there's just way too many. Starting in Herta Space Station, this is the track that normally plays whenever you're here. When you enter combat, the track that normally plays is this one. I like both of these tracks a lot, and a lot more of the music is quite amazing. So I'll have a playlist linked below in the description for it. As for the UI, I think everything is nice and neat, and the icons, while confusing at first if you don't pay attention, it's incredibly useful to find what you're looking for. It's definitely better than Genshin Impact's UI. Genshin Impact's is...
Bullying Simulator.
well, it feels outdated compared to Honkai Star Rails, I'll say that. So, combat basically works like this. If an enemy attacks you and you don't attack them, the enemy gains an advantage by attacking first. If you hit the enemy before they hit you, then you attack first.
The fuck did you say you-
There's also this saying called a technique which you can engage battle with, and it gives your team a better advantage over your opponent. While in combat, you can attack with your basic attack and deal a small amount of damage. You can also use your skill, and when you use that, it does more damage or gives your team a buff based on the skill. And then ultimates, they can be used at any time during combat, and they specialize in massive damage and or AoE most of the time. You gather energy by battling. Your basic attack gives a little amount, and your skill gives a little bit more. Also, ultimates will go to the top of the action order. The action order tells you when a character's turn comes around and does the same for your enemies. I really like all of these things a lot, and the action order is a great thing to have in a turn-based RPG. And I like that you can press C to see your characters and abilities. It's really nice. You can also switch to see your enemies. Very good. The combat-based game modes like Simulated Universe and Forgotten Hall are a lot of fun. I more enjoy Forgotten Hall for the strategy elements than Simulated Universe though. Simulated Universe is a lot of fun too, and I really enjoy the blessings that you get to upgrade your team. It makes you really overpowered for the challenge at hand, so it's a lot of fun whenever you get to that point. Light cones are basically the weapon of the character you have. Without them, your damage is really low, and honestly, not worth caring over. Might as well play a different game while you're at it. Jokes aside, light cones are important, and they help you get the upper hand. And I have to mention that the arts for these are really good, as well as that each light cone has a little lore if you scroll past the effect, which is cool. Not that I ever read them, they're basically non-existent to me. Relics are literally the same thing as in Genshin Impact, and god, they are awful. Why do I sound angry about this? It seems like every one of these games is the same, man. Some more originality would be nice. But they do what makes them money, and at the end of the day, it's tedious and trivial tasking because it feels like a chore. Yes, they're important. They help your stats as well. It feels like a lot to keep up with though, when every single character shares in the need of these items. I dislike this a lot because it makes me not want to touch the game because I know if I do, I have to go through this mental torture. Now, I've had my vent. So anyway, Relics split into 6 pieces. Yeah, in Genshin, they split into 5. Which one's better? Sorry, I'll continue. They also level up to 15 times each for 6 pieces, which, while it isn't 20 like it is in Genshin,
It's f***ing Mario Kart again!
feels like there's barely any difference to the system. Alright, I get it. Moving on. Traces are your skill tree in this game. Instead of using skill points to level these up, you need your character at a certain level for certain levels on your traces, and that takes you needing to farm materials for that character. Then you need different materials. Sometimes some of the same materials are used for both, for traces to level up. Meanwhile, for the traces that are bonus skills, you need a material from the weekly boss raid. which can be done 3 times, and then you have to wait until next week. This wouldn't be so bad, but the issue is over time of doing this, I've felt myself getting really tired of doing the same repetitive thing for a lack of something interesting I get for doing it. Aside from advancing the story, when the story advancing content after you get to level 70 is basically pointless to continue leveling after 70, because after 70 is way too much cost investment of your credits. Speaking of credits, this item you get an abundance of at first, but the issue is that later in the game you use so much that you barely have any, and unless you're grinding the game every day, you won't have enough to level all your characters, and so you have to wait. Now some of you might say, well, just level the characters you like. And sure, I can do that, but if you like a lot of characters, then you would want to level them all. So doing this individually is of course better than at the same time. However, it's just such a tedious and unfulfilling thing to do over time.
I feel like a stupid asshole.
I like that I can hold Alt and move my mouse over what I want to click on at any time. The wishing banners, I'll be honest, I absolutely despise them. Not as much as Relics, but the issues are because it takes so much effort to get a high rarity character on free-to-play. That's what I play with because I refuse to spend money on this game. And you heard it right, the only way to obtain these characters is by wishing on them. 4 stars sometimes appear in the shop, but you require a large amount of materials you get from, you guessed it, wishing. It's the same rates as the Genshin character banner. It makes me sad. I do like you can click on view details at any time to check whether you're ready to take the inevitable plunge that is wishing on characters. You get to see the drop rates, however, they can be somewhat misleading if you don't read and interpret every word accurately, which I dislike. I do like that you can check your record as well by clicking on this other tab, which shows when you wished on a character and the amount of individual wishes, so you can count up pretty easily. Light cone banners have a better rates, sort of, but it's basically the same because if you read it real closely, it feels almost nothing different than the character banner. Because while you have a 75% chance to get a 5-star light cone, you also have that same chance on the one that you don't want. Also, 80 wishes is just 10 below 90. It's really not enough to compensate for wishing on a character. So it just becomes something of a banner that you never ever use. Honestly, I think this game is really amazing. The music is awesome, the combat's fun, characters are great, and the UI is very friendly. Just that the whole gacha part of the game really holds back the game's potential, at least I think. I would say that less if relic and material farming wasn't such a hassle, but all 3 of these things are, and I don't like that the game feels like a chore. I will say that this game is a lot better than Genshin Impact. In basically every way, it beats it, and as Honkai Star Rail is, I think it will go far. I just don't see myself continuing to play it actively. I can't commit to that.
Hey guys, hope you've all had a great Christmas and fantastic New Year. Thank you so much for watching, it means a lot to me. I'll continue making more videos like these. Hope I can continue to count on your support. Alright, see ya.